hype.
Yo!
Oh my gosh. Teapot. Legendary raid. Raids is back. But it's not just back. Back with legendary emotes.
Yes. Actually, honestly, I'm going to have to shut you down. That's not the most hype part. Do you know what the most hype part actually is? We can do 50 gamer open world raids with the gang. It's even better than legendary mode. That's actually giga. Think about that. It's like Dragon's End all over again.
Though?
Hype. Let's go.
Do you think it will be hard? Like, do you
No.
like do you think it's gonna be like challenging Dragon's End, or do you think it will be like, hey, it's open world mode and it's like nice and accessible for people to like experience what the raid is kind of like? I think it will be that. I don't think it will be hard.
My goal or my hope would be that it is something that isn't necessarily hard, but there's kind of stuff that you can do that requires tactics and organization. It's not necessarily that you have to do that. Like, for example, Triple Trouble is very extreme, right? You know, if you mess up the mechanics, you lose. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, you know, that kind of feels pretty bad. But I'm definitely thinking that there will be some mechanical interaction that you will have to do. Kind of, you know, bit like, you know, leaning towards the Dragon's Ends, right? Where you have this situation where, like, oh, there's the tail, and maybe you want to send one squad to go and hit the tail, for example.
Honestly,
stuff like
I'm
that.
pretty happy regardless, because that sounds good. But if it's like really easy, I'm also pretty happy, because then it just means people will get to experience like the whole raid boss thing, right?
He's very
I'm okay
smart.
with
He's
either
very
of these.
smart. I really like the way they've done that. Because they kind of talked about in some of the posts about how, ooh, you know, don't worry, even though there's no new map, you're gonna have open world stuff to do as well. And that's what they were talking about. They were kind of alluding to this. I think that's really good. I think it means that not only are they going to be able to cook the map a bit better, and it should be segmented a little bit better with the 2 quarterly updates after that. It also means that there is going to be something in that first patch for basically all players to go after.
Because the whole issue with raids, right, was like, it's like very expensive to make a raid, right? You need all these assets, you need to make a whole map, and then only a very tiny fraction of the player base even cares.
Yes.
Now you can make raids everybody cares about. I assume normal mode's gonna be pretty easy too, because they're also doing challenge modes and legendary modes.
Yeah, I think this is another
We went from like 2 difficulty settings at best to having 4, which is wow.
Yeah, I think this is a really big thing actually is going to be that tuning. I hope they have a team that is testing this and making sure that the difficulty is appropriate, because yeah, they have a really golden opportunity here to actually make sure they hit all the different demographics of players. Because again, I feel like, you know, again, like you or I, you're a secret tryhard. You know, I'm a blatant tryhard. But you know, like we really like Ceres Legendary, right? And Embodiment of Sin, like that type of difficulty. But at the same time, we have to be real. That's way too much. That's not the level that many people are looking for, which, by the way, is completely fair. That's not like, oh, yeah, look at these noobs. It's like, not everyone wants to go that hard and, like, nuke 20 hours of prog, right? That's not for everyone. That's fair. And I think they really need to be careful to guarantee that players you know, no matter how much progression they're looking to do, that the content is going to basically satisfy that, right? I think that's why the norm mode and challenge mode are really important to get that tuning right.
I think so too.
And then the legendary is for the people who want to, you know, do a bit of grinding and, you know, have something that's a big one for sure.
What do you think of housing, Teapot?
I mean, I'm very indifferent to it. It's not a system that I will probably ever engage with, if I'm being honest. I will unlock the mastery and then never decorate my house. Unless I can somehow make like a GVG arena in my house or a Beetle track.
You might be able to do that though. Yeah. That sounds kind of hype to me. I'm excited in general. Just I feel like it fits the community well. I feel like it'll be a fun sort of rewards opportunity, right?
That's, you know, that's a very polite way of saying that the Guild Wars 2 community is a bunch of players who want to hang out in their home instance, like wearing bikinis.
I want to hang out in my home.
Like
that's
like what you're
hanging out in Arborstone, and the Arborstone live stream was a highlight.
No, how was that highlight?
About.
There's no that is actually more cope than saying the tunnel was good. Okay, like that the Arborstone stream was cursed. That was
I enjoyed the Arborstone stream. Okay, I guess you are not the kind of player that wants to go and hang out in your house, but I am the kind of player that wants to go and hang out in my house. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, real talk.
It'll be nice
I think players are going to love it. I think they'll do a good job. I think it will be a good implementation of with this player housing concept that various other games have gone for. I think it will be good. I think they'll do a good job of it, and I think players will like it. Yeah, it's definitely not for me though. I will not do it because
that's fair.
Like, where's the boss? I don't understand. Where's the enemy? Where's the gaming? Where do we fight? But I don't know. Maybe if there's a teapot I can get, I'll put it in there. Boom, easy.
Let's go. No, you know what's hype too though? Spears on day 1.
Yes.
It's not gonna be in a patch. It's gonna be there straight from the start of straight from launch.
But you know what? Do you know what would have been even cooler? And I think you'll agree with me here. Wouldn't it have been so cool if the legendary spear was also out day 1? So I've got my new spear. I'm ready to go. I've got, you know what?
Yeah.
Elementalist melee spear, guys. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. When they drop that, they're gonna
be range spear.
It's gonna, Guardian's gonna get range, like Necro's gonna get range spear, and they're coming around to Ellie. And like, oh yeah, we really want to give Ellie another one of these great options to get in there and poke people. This heavy melee, 450 range prod weapon.
You are cursing this
man,
right now.
that feels so good. That feels so good.
This so hard right now.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. It's gonna be such a great thing when that happens. I really love to see that.
Ranged.
A melee spear for Ellie. Oh, it's gonna be in
Ellie
reality.
Is gonna be the new, Ellie's gonna be the new virtuoso with spear.
I would be so surprised if they didn't give Ellie range spears. There's no way. If they do, it will be really funny to me, but I will probably roast it for it. I mean, come on, like Ellie, they really want a range weapon.
It's gonna be ranged, I believe.
Yeah. I'd be really surprised if it wasn't, I think. And they should do it, I think. But yeah, no. Yeah, it is pretty hype. I think, new weapon is pretty cool. I do still think it would have been nice to have the legendary on launch. As something like to kind of grind day 1. But
I like how the legendary is something actually everyone will care about.
Yes, everyone wants
even
it.
if you already have a spear, you'll need a second one if you want to be full, right? Because you want one in your underwater slot and one in your land slot.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna make the current spear, and then I'll still have a reason to make the second spear once that comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have like that long-term goal to go for from day 1, for sure. That's a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
You gotta save some of the good stuff for later, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if the spear will be related to the raid.
They could, because it's open world, right? It could be, just be in the open world command. That would be really cool if they did that. Actually, that would be really nice, actually. If I'm definitely hoping for a collection, Gen 2 style, right? So you have to go out and do some stuff, as opposed to just kind of like throwing materials in the Mystic Forge. I think that's much more interesting, much more kind of interactive to kind of have that type of experience. I think that's really fun. When that happens, that would be really cool. But yeah, I do think that one thing about the expansion is that I do think it is going to feel a little bit light in terms of, essentially, like some of the features that are happening halfway through the expansion, I feel like it would be so cool if they were there on day 1. Like, I know this is insane, but like the way they're releasing the raid, right? They're doing the raid first with the open world and just normal mode variant.
Yeah.
And then they're also releasing CM Legendary later. Like, think how sick that would be if it was shifted 3 months earlier. So you had the raid and the normal mode on launch, and then you had the CMs 3 months later. Like, and I understand that might be essentially impossible from a developer perspective. I'm just kind of thinking about ways that the format could be even more optimized. Because I think when you have an expansion and you have that really big drop, that will be so hype, right? You've got 2 new open world maps. You've got a raid dropping on launch as well. CMs and Legendary coming out 3 months later. And Spears. I mean, come on. Like, that would be insanely sick if they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, because I didn't really think about this, but I guess there won't be any instance content on launch day, right?
Yeah.
Because the raid is
no strikes
on...
and no strikes.
The patches are gonna be good. The patches, like, we get the raids, we get the normal modes, open world modes, we get CM, LM, we get a fractal in patch 3, I think, again. So the patches will be fine for instance content, but yeah, there's no instant content on day 1. I think I'll be fine with that, though. I'll just be running around doing the same fractals with my ranged elementalist spear.
Yes. Your melee elementalist spear.
Everybody will be complaining that Ellie is too OP on Sarah's legendary mode.
Yeah, this is going to be really crazy stuff. Like, obviously, your normal melee weapon is actually 130 range, 130 inches in range. Ellie's going to be like 30, 40 maybe, max.
They like do a little stab with it, no lunge, just like a tiny little stab.
Yeah.
gonna be range.
I think the one thing that could be interesting about Ellie is if they make it two-handed or one-handed. To be honest, I think it probably will be two-handed, otherwise it would just be weird because spears are two-handed. But it will be kind of interesting, actually, like the Paragon stuff from Guild Wars 1. Imagine if you could use a shield and a spear, you know, in your offhand, like throw it from range. But I think that doesn't work with the... I think that's kind of scuffed with engine limitations because, again, it will be weird to have a weapon be one-hand on some professions, but two-handed on others. I'm not even sure if that makes any sense in their engine, basically, because it would be weird.
Yeah, there's also... Have you seen this massively OP article? It has a bunch more details.
What details? Like the war claws getting double jump, stuff like that.
Yes. They also said two-handed spears in that article.
Ah, yeah.
So
yeah,
to me, it does seem like it's gonna be two-handed everywhere.
Yeah.
I am honestly excited about that though, because it means everybody's at least getting like a full skill bar, right? It's not like somebody's
a lot of
getting,
abilities.
Like, offhand.
You know,
like, two
and this is where I like to be annoying. I do think that it would be cool if there was actually something coming with the 6th-month patch as well. Like, for example, hear me out. You know, spears on launch, and then boom, 6 months later, everyone gets a new elite skill. Yo.
Oh.
And
yeah, we're not really getting utilities and elites anymore now.
Yeah, I'd like to see a new core trait line at some point. That would be actual balance apocalypse, but it would also be incredibly based. So, you know, maybe they should just do that anyway.
What do you think of the PvP game mode thing?
I really like that they're trying to do something. I mean, look, Conquest is in a state right now where it can't be saved, in my opinion. I think because the only thing that will fix Conquest is more players. Like, currently, right now, I always recall this tragic story. Young gamer, Raider Pump, queued up for their first game of Ranked on the NA server. They queue into Naru game 1.
Wait, really?
Yeah. First game of Ranked.
Oh, no.
Immediate rank 1 legend on the opposing team. They come to they're brutalized, annihilated. They're literally farmed on respawn by a duo queue of top 10 legend players.
No.
And they come to my chat and say, "Is this normal?" And I have to tragically tell this innocent peepo that yes, this is indeed, unfortunately, pretty normal. Yeah. Like, yeah, but, you know, with that slightly, you know, silly story, the point is the only thing that can fix Conquest is more players. And you're not going to get more players by just leaving Conquest as it is. I think the strategy from ArenaNet here is going to be get more players hitting the PvP button, and then Conquest will heal itself, essentially, with this other
makes
game
sense,
mode.
yeah.
I think that's the goal there. I think that makes sense. I think it's going to be likely a very simple game mode, something like Capture the Flag or King of the Hill, something of that nature. Is, I think, the direction they're going to go, just to make sure that players are able to understand, get a feel for the combat, and then, you know, ultimately, I still think Conquest is going to be kind of the end game PvP mode. I don't think they're going to change ATs.
Yeah.
It's like monthly AT, for example, it's going to be Conquest. I think it will remain that way. I think that's a good... Well, I really hope they don't, because I think Conquest is really good, actually. It just doesn't really work when the player population is so low, unfortunately. But, yeah, I think if they do that, that sounds like a pretty reasonable strategy, I think.
Honestly, like mid-scale. Honestly, like 10v10, 15v15 or something. I think that'd be interesting.
I think... I think you want to be really careful with that, because Guild Wars 2 PvP turns into a total fiesta, even when you start adding, like... You don't want constant 4v4 or 5v5 team fighting. When the meta in Guild Wars 2 PvP is 4v4 or 5v5, it is an abomination. Anyone, I don't know if anyone here played they did this brief round of ATs where it was 4v4 ATs. It was probably the most degenerate I've ever seen Guild Wars 2. And actually, I have a great example of this. I queued up with some friends. We played 3 Scourges, Blood Scourges, and it was just like some friends, casual PvPers in the skill range of gold to platinum, that sort of range. We were actually able to beat a team of monthly AT winners who were all legend ranked because they were not playing the correct comp. They got completely rolled by our disgusting triple Blood Scourge composition, and they lost. Like, Guild Wars 2 PvP doesn't really work super hot when it's like permanent team fighting, so I think you'd want to keep it 5v5 in my opinion, and just try to prevent it so it's not like permanent team fighting. Like, because that I think that's actually something that is one of the things that players struggle with the most when they're new to the game, is getting obliterated in these larger fights with a zillion abilities going off and just getting farmed. But, yeah.
Yeah. You're not so wrong about that, I think. I haven't really considered that too much. Honestly, I am not much of a PvP player.
Oh, really? Lara, when is the grind to rank 1 legend beginning?
I'm gonna I think I'm a Doliak. That's like my level in PvP.
Okay. Well, it's time. I see the Guardian gameplay there. It's a good time. You know, Core Guard is, you know, it's support, heal. It's good stuff. Love to see that.
I used to like playing Willbender in PvP. That was fun.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Willbender, it's definitely good for ranks because you can just blow people up, right? Like high DPS, high mobility builds are pretty good there. But I mean, like, you know, you're doing Embodiment of Sin right now, and, you know, then you're done with that, and the PvP arc has to begin. You know, we've got world restructuring, world versus world arc needs to begin. Lara rank 1 legend.
That's gonna happen for sure.
You know, I want to see Lara PvP.
So excited about that.
Do you know I want to see you PvP? Because you'll become toxic. There's no way around it.
That's not true. That is not true.
It is true. It is true.
No.
Chat will back me up. I bet even your chat will back me up on this. Look, trust me. When the engineer in your game goes far and feeds the entire game, you will unleash. You will not be able to hold it in. You will not be able to hold it back.
This person, they'll get it next time.
That's but what happens when they respawn, they go far and feed again, like 10 seconds.
Then I'll be like, maybe this person will be fun to hang out with in Arborstone. Yeah. That's probably what I'll say instead. Alright. Yeah, I think, have we talked about everything? Mostly the big highlights, I think we will say. The map looks nice. I want to get my Kitty Warclaw. I like the story. Actually going to Janthir after all this time. I'm excited. It's gonna be soon as well. Like,
August 20th. Let's go.
Yeah, less than 3 months.
Yeah.
Actually ridiculous.
Very exciting. The content train is here. I guess one thing that I would really like to see showcased that I actually haven't talked about myself. I really hope they show us some of the open world content. I know that some of it is going to probably be a little bit tangential to the story, but the one thing that I want to see, I really want to see this delivered on, is the open world meta experience. I want to see good open world content. I don't think everything has to be like a mega meta map, like the entire map is a meta event, like Dragon's Inn, for example. I think that's unnecessary. I think a hybrid approach is cool, kind of what you see in Heart of Thorns, right? With like, you know, Tangled Depths is really fun to explore, right? But it also has this big meta event on it with the big boss. Like, stuff like that. Okay, fine. Auric Basin, then. Auric Basin's really fun to explore, I think. Like, I think everyone probably has, like, really cool memories of, like, oh, I've got ley line gliding now, so I can go and get that mastery point. Or, like, you know, all this kind of cool stuff. And, like, finding all the little passageways, right? And doing all the updraft chains to, like, find all the little secret locations, all that kind of stuff. I think that's just, like, really fun. But it also has the Octovine. Right? You know, you also have the Octovine, and you have this meta event going on at the same time. And that's what I really want to see delivered on in Janthir Wilds, right? I felt very let down by Soto, to be honest. Like, you know, I got hyped up, you know, seriously. I was in Amnitus. I see these tentacles. There's tentacles everywhere. Already an exciting scenario, right? They're all over the place. And then we go to fight the boss, and it just AFKs doing nothing, right? And you just, like, hit him as he bites the platform for no reason. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on here?
It gets repetitive, doesn't it? Because, like, you're on the sky skill so much, so you're just kind of spamming one a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool the first time. I was like, this is a big spectacle. This feels so cool. But then
and it looks cool, but
the first time I was like, oh.
The gameplay. Like, where was the gameplay, you know? Where was Suwon? Like, they should just replace, you know, Norris with Suwon. That's what we need.
Hell yeah. Let's see.
Now, hear me out.
I don't think they're actually going to show us.
Yeah.
Like, with Soda, they didn't 3D, right? With Soda, we didn't 3D know anything about the metas beforehand.
I want to see Doom CM in open world.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe your raid open world.
Just the CM though.
Thing.
So, like, imagine this: you're fighting a boss. It's, you know, it's these Titan things, right? That we're seeing in the trailer. There's a giant Titan. Check this out. You get it to 80% HP. It summons Doom CM. Doom CM starts running around picking up everyone, right? Then at 60%, it summons another Doom CM. Okay, check that out. Like, it just keeps summoning more and more Doom CMs every 20% HP. And there's more and more Doom CMs.
I'm gonna get grabbed every time. I'm not sure if I'm into this idea.
Yeah?
No. Like, oh, I have to kite orbs and stuff. I don't want to do this.
Well, no, it wouldn't be
Doom
it wouldn't be the orbs and stuff. It would just be Doom CM, Ender's Echo. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I could survive that.
Yeah.
I guess I could survive that. But yeah, I agree though. Like, we need stuff that you care about dodging, maybe. Just, you know, like AoEs on the ground that you don't want to stand in. Like, it can be pretty straightforward. It felt like that was maybe missing in Soda a bit.
I just want to see
Like,
mechanics.
position.
I just want to see mechanics and phases, honestly. I want to see mechanics and phases. I don't want to be standing there hitting a boss while it does nothing. I want to see stuff like, ooh, ads have spawned. You've got to, like, split up and deal with these 2 sets of ads while the boss is going on. Or, you know, I want to see something like, I think the tailed mechanic on Sue 1 is honestly so cool. It's such a shame that, like, you know, it got nerfed and it's irrelevant now. You just don't interact with it in any way, really. Unless you're in, like, a really scuffed group. At that point, I think that's really cool. Like, oh yeah, there's a thing, you got to go do it, right? Or stuff like Triple Trouble. It's like, oh yeah, you know, everyone's got to use the bomb together, right? Like, go. I think stuff like that's really interesting. I think that type of coordination in open world is really fun. To be honest. And I think people underestimate how fun the pre-events can be as well. I think one of my favorite experiences that I've had in the game, actually, was doing a Dragon Stand speedrun. We actually got, like, all the try-hard guilds in. We were, like, min-maxing all the little side events and like, trying to progress as quickly as possible and doing, like, the ultimate burn on the boss as well. I think stuff like that, like, it doesn't have to be hard, but I think stuff like little basic coordination checks and actual mechanics. I think that one thing that's important to talk about here is the distinction between an attack and a mechanic. Like, an attack is, you know, an AoE. Don't stand in the bad, doofus, right? But a mechanic is like a puzzle. It's like a thing. It's asking the player to do something. You have to respond to something and find a solution. Like, you have to use the tools at your disposal to solve the mechanic. I think that's really fun, and I think it can be really fun in open world as well, not just within, like, the context of raids.
Or maybe open world raids.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to do the leaderboard thing for that. You know how with Convergence CMs they had that, and you also get, like, the gold, silver, bronze thing? They need to put that in there.
Well,
just like the thing where, like, you want to do it fast enough, you want to get the goals one, right?
Yes.
I think that already makes it a little
And
more interesting.
Convergences are, you know, they're bringing them back. Convergences are, they're in.
That was actually my biggest surprise. I thought Convergences were going to be like a Soto purity thing. But they're doing Janthir Convergences as well.
I almost felt they should come up with a better name. I don't know. I feel like the name it's weird. I mean, what does that even mean? Like, you know, yes, I'm converging. Like, yeah.
I mean, it made for some pretty solid memes, though.
Yeah.
It did make for some.
Have you ever said that you're converging? By the way, has that ever happened? Or like, yeah.
Yes, I have.
I'm glad I was able to kind of infect the community enough.
Not with the sound effects, though.
Yeah.
Not with the sound effects you just did. Just, I'm gonna converge.
Yeah.
And then moving on. You know.
Disappointing. I mean, we'll get you eventually. You won't be able to resist forever.
Alright, time for me to get out this voice call.
Yeah? Oh, are you not wanting to hear about, like, the lore that's happening in the next expansion with Zoja Gar?
Alright, bye, people.
Zoja Gar.